definitely check trigger warning. I would definitely check. Oh my god, how is that so difficult to say? There are just some things I just can't cope with. Why is this the same thing? It's so predictable. And what's the word? Just perfection. I was like, I needed to read books. Hi, I hope you are all really good. Welcome back to my channel. It is that time of the month again. It is time for my June reading wrap up. So as you may have seen if you've watched any videos on my channel before, recently I've been struggling with a reading slump. So for the start of June, I was definitely deep in that reading slump. The middle of June, I did start to finish some books and it was amazing. I had like a run of like 4 books in like a week. I finished. Now I have dropped back into the reading slump, but I did manage to read 6 books this month, so let's go through them. So the first book I read was Where Sleeping Girls Lie by Farida Abike Ayimidi. I don't know how to pronounce her name, I apologise. This book is incredible. I loved the first book she wrote called Ace of Spades. And so when I found this book that I didn't know had actually been released, I got so excited to read it. It is as good as Ace of Spades. It is a thicker book, but 100% worth it. So fast paced. My favourite like micro genre is YA thrillers set in boarding schools with rich entitled children. I can't even describe it to you, but if you read a good few of those, you'll know what I'm talking about. This is amazing. It deals with so much more than just the central plot. I would definitely check trigger warning. Oh my god, how is that so difficult to say? I would definitely check trigger warnings for this one. Although it's YA, there is a lot of serious themes dealt with in this. The characters all felt so real. It was so unpredictable. I was completely on the edge of my seat. I devoured this one. I can't even describe it to you. It was the biggest 5 stars. I would recommend this to absolutely everybody, especially if you're a fan of the YA thriller genre. If not, let this author get you into this genre, because she is just a spectacular writer and I would recommend her books so much. They need more hype. I know Ace of Spades has become quite popular on Bookstagram and the book community, but I've not seen anyone talk about this and they need to be, because it is an incredible book. Then following that, I read The Stolen Heir by Holly Black. This is the follow-up series to the Folk of the Air series. So this follows I forgot his name, Oak. This follows Oak and Surin, who were both kind of side characters in the Folk of the Air series, the Crow Prince series, which is amazing. I was so excited to be back in that world. I love Holly Black's writing so much and I love anything to do with the Crow Prince series. This one is good. Really good. I loved being back in the world. I loved seeing more of these characters. This ends on such a cliffhanger. I almost bought the second book for this when I was away, because I was reading this when I was away and I didn't, and then I finished this and I was like, oh, I so wish I had bought the sequel. So if you're going to read this, make sure you get the sequel to start as soon as you finish it, because the cliffhanger in this is painful. I really enjoyed this, loved the romance, loved the world. It's not quite as good as the Crow Prince series, but you can't beat that. Again, this was a big 5 stars though, and it is pure escapism. It's quite short, so you can 100% rattle through it. I just love Holly Black's writing. It's just like perfect. You just can't fault it. And this was the same as that. I do love this book. And I'm very excited to read The Prisoner's Throne, which is the sequel to it. But yeah, I would highly recommend this one. I would advise reading the Crow Prince series first though. It's not essential, but it gives you a lot of context and sort of introduces you to Oak and things like that. So I would advise reading that first and reading this when you love The Crow Prince. Then following that, I read Powerless by Lauren Roberts. I am due to have... I filmed a reading vlog of Powerless and Powerful, but it's taken me ages to edit it because of lack of storage on my phone and things like that. But there will hopefully be a reading vlog up next week for these 2 books. So I read this one. This was a 4 star. I so wish it had been a 5. I have lots to say about this book. A lot of it I have said in that reading vlog, but so you don't have to watch the whole thing, and because it's completely filled with spoilers, I'll tell you my thoughts here. I would love this to be a 5-star. I had huge expectations for it. The hype is so high for it, as you probably know, but there are just some things I just can't cope with. So what annoyed me is you get very little of the characters' feelings. Although this is written dual point of view and it is first person perspective for both point of views, you get so little of what they are actually feeling in that moment. And I know you're wanting to try and do showing not telling, but sometimes you need to say what they're feeling, because you don't feel that connected to them often. You get a lot of being told about her relationship with Adina and their friendship, and you get told that they are each other's everything, they're their ride or die, they are the best of friends, they're all each other have. Lovely. But you see so little of their relationship, and Lauren Roberts makes the decision to bring Adina further into the book by letting her join Paden in the castle ahead of the purging trials. But I'm not even joking, you never see any of Adina, pretty much, and you certainly never see any of their friendship when they're in the castle. So that really bugged me, because I would have loved to have seen the focus was put on the purging trials and the action, which, don't get me wrong, it had to be there, but it really annoyed me. Another thing, for the first chunk of this book, maybe about the first third, so much of it was so like the Hunger Games. Don't get me wrong, I love those books with all my heart, and I completely understand how difficult it is to differentiate and distinguish from these tropes that are so similar. But once I got it in my head, I could not stop making parallels to that world, and it got past the point of being like, oh, that's cool, that's similar to that, to being like, why is this the same thing? And it does, about a third of the way in, completely split from that, and there's very few ties to the Hunger Games from then on. But for the first while, I just could not get out of my head how annoyingly similar it was to that book, and I was like, so predictable. But it wasn't predictable. It was very plot twisty. It was very unexpected. I also didn't like the almost love triangle that happened. That also annoyed me. Apart from that, I'm making it sound like it's bad. It's really not. It is a 4-star. It was so close to being a 5. It was just those little things that were just niggling, and I just couldn't make it a 5-star. Apart from that, the premise of this book is amazing. The magic system, the world, the characters, the romance, that flirty banter. I am lost for words. The action scenes, the fight scenes, beautifully written. I loved so much of this book, and I am desperate to read the next book in the series, given the cliffhanger that this leaves off on. But I feel like you can tell this is her debut, and I just hope that these little things, she'll just iron them out, and she's going to be like an exceptional writer, because she is already there. I was being so picky, I think because I was in a reading slump as well, and so I was noticing all of these things that were just like niggling with me. But it's amazing. Pure escapism, keeps you on the edge of your seat, you get so enveloped into this world, and I have thought about this so often since I finished it, but I just couldn't quite be a 5 stars. I would love to know what other people think of it, because I've seen so many people get hyped about it, but most people are a 5-star kind of person, and I need someone that also found these little things not wrong with it, but just struggled to make it a 5-star. Seeing that, as soon as I finished that book, I completely picked up Powerful by Lauren Roberts. Look at the spread. This was also a 4-star. I had the same sort of issues. I read this so quickly. I was absolutely wrecked. This book, I did not realise. I thought this was going to be a cute, fun little novella of a different time than the other book is set. I did not realise I was going to have to go through the heartbreak again. Wrecked me. But the only issue was the exact same as within the first book. The lack of personal feelings. And you are in this character's first person perspective, and the whole point of using first person is that you get to feel how that character feels, and you get to see what it is that they are feeling. And I just felt like I didn't get that. I just could not. I don't know, because I love these characters, so I can't say I didn't connect to them, but I just didn't feel like didn't feel like I was getting a true representation of how they were feeling in that moment. I don't know how to describe it. I don't know if it was just me and the mood I was in when I read it. I don't know. It was incredible. I sobbed my heart out. But again, it was a 4-star. But I'm so excited for the next installment in this world. I need to know what happens next. And then the 5th book I read this month was Summer Kind of Love by Charlene Boutin. I think that's how you pronounce her name. This book, oh, it's gorgeous. I have been struggling with romance lately, and I love a summer romance. It is books like this that remind me why I read romance and why I read summer romance. I kindly got given this one by Love Books Tours to read in what's the word? In exchange for an honest review. I love this book so much. First off, it's really fluffy and it's really short. Like, the text is quite big and it's like not even 300 pages, which I think is the perfect sort of length for a romance book. This is adorable. Again, it deals with so much more than just the romance, and I love books like that. It deals, I would definitely check trigger warnings for this one. Again, it deals with a lot of anxiety representation that is beautifully done, might I add. Difficult family relationships, burnout, things like that. Like, it's got so much. I don't know how she packs it all into these pages, but she does. It's so beautifully done, so delicately done. The setting of this is just perfect. This is read on the beach, read in the garden, read in the sun. You have to. It's just pure escapism. I love the romance. There is a third act breakup, and I'm not a third act breakup fan, but it made sense, and I felt like it needed to happen, and I don't often feel like that. It's not miscommunication. Yeah. I don't want to say any more. I just want to tell you that this is perfect, and it will be like my biggest recommendation of the summer. I am hoping to do a video of summer recommendations, and this book will be high on that list. It needs hype. This book needs hype because it's absolutely gorgeous. The cover as well. Can we just take a moment for this cover? Lovely. The characters, the setting, the romance, just perfection. Just perfection. I have no words. Just would highly recommend. Definitely. And I have one final book that I read. I don't have a physical copy because I actually read it on Spotify through an audiobook, which I have not done before. Yeah, it's been a while since, in fact, it's been a while since I've tried an audiobook. I admire people that read so many audiobooks. I just can't make it work for me. But I was in such a reading slump. I was like, I need to read books. So I tried an audiobook. I did enjoy the audiobook. It took me a while to get into it. I don't know if it was just the narrator, because she was really good, and I did start to really like the way that she narrated the book, but I just sort of struggled initially. It's just a completely different way of taking in a book, and I am still continuing to do that. I won't become a like huge audiobook reader. I will probably have an audiobook going in the side, and I might become at that point, but I love my physical books too much. So like I can't be an ebook reader. I try, and every now and then if I've got like an e-arc or whatever, I do read, and I read on the Kindle app on my phone and things like that, but primarily I am a physical book reader, and that's just how it is. But yes, forgotten to tell you the book. I read Caraval by Stephanie Garber. This has been one of those ones that I have seen so often on Bookstagram and the book community and on here, and I have just been like, that sounds really good, I'll get to it at some point. That sounds really good, I should definitely read it. Never bought it, never read it. And then when I was scrolling through Spotify, I was like, I'm just going to pick a random audiobook, and I was like, oh, there's Caraval. I've always wanted to read that. So I read it. It was a 4-star. I don't know if it was just because I struggled to get into the world because it was an audiobook. Some parts of it I found really repetitive, and I've started the sequel and I'm really finding that with the second one, but I'm not that far into that one, so I'm giving it a chance. I can see why everybody loves the world. It is beautifully crafted. She's very cleverly done it. I'm trying to remember because it was a while since I read it, but I did enjoy it. I really did enjoy it. It was a 4-star. I enjoyed the romance. Some parts of it, the characters were annoying me. There's a reason, you know, there's like a few reasons why it wasn't a 5-star, but all in all, it's a really immersive fantasy, completely original. I've never really read anything like it. It is like beautifully and ingeniously created, and how complex it is. Once you get into that world, you cannot stop thinking about it. The plot twists, the twists and turns, I literally was like gasping out loud at how on edge I was at these plot twists. Could not see half of them coming. Every time you think you had worked it out, you definitely had not. I would definitely recommend it. I am intrigued to see where the rest of the series goes. So yeah, I would recommend it as well. It was a 4-star. It was good. So that actually brings me to the end of this video. I forgot to do what my favourite was. Scratch that. We're not yet at the end of the video. I think it will be Where Sleeping Girls Lie. I think it'll be Where Sleeping Girls Lie. Summer Kind of Love is a very close second, but I think just given the depth and how much there was in Where Sleeping Girls Lie, and I finished it and I was like, I'm not going to forget about that book for a very, very long time. We're going to go with Where Sleeping Girls Lie as this month's favourite. So yeah, this is definitely the end of the video this time, I think. So thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you read this month, what your favourites were, and if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them, and what you're planning on reading in July. I never make TBRs because I can't stick to them because I'm the biggest mood reader. So I hope you enjoyed. If you would like to like or subscribe, that would honestly mean so much, but just the fact that you're here watching this means a lot to me. So I hope to see you all soon for another video.